Welcome to Lesson 8.1c, Simplifying Rational Expressions. Our objective is I can simplify rational expressions. So for simplified rational expressions, we just want to consider it simplified if there's no common factors in the numerator or the denominator. For example, 2/3, there's nothing I can take out of both the top and the bottom. Same with 4y over 3x. Same with 8a squared over b. There's nothing I can take out of both the top and the bottom. So let's take some stuff out of the top and the bottom. Looks like I can take a 3 out of the top and the bottom, right? 3 goes into 3xy one time. 3 goes into 18x squared y squared 6 times. Okay. Looks like I can take an x out of the top and the bottom. X goes into x one time. X goes into x squared twice. Okay. And then I can also take a y out. And I'll be left with 1 over 6xy. Remember, I can only do this if I take it out of everything out of the top and bottom. The better way we might want to do it is we might want to say this is equal to 1 times 3xy over, well, let's see, 6xy times 3xy. We can also do this as well and then cancel out the 3xy. We'll get the same answer, we'll just feel a little bit better about it. So try one of these two methods on your own with this problem. Now that you've tried it on your own, let's do it together. So I have 4x squared y. Let's see, looks like I can take a 4 out of the top and the bottom. Looks like I can take an x out of the top and the bottom. Looks like I can take a y out of the top and the bottom. And I'll be left with 3y on the bottom. And 1 times x is just x on the top. So let's look at this one now. This one, I have addition and subtraction in the middle here, so I can't just cancel stuff out. I have to factor it a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to factor everything and then see what I can take out. Looks like I can take a 2 out of the top here, and that'll be x plus 4. Looks like I can take a 5 out of the bottom here, and that'll be x plus 4. And the x plus 4's will cancel, and I'll be left with 2/5. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. Now that you've tried them on your own, let's do it together. So, it looks like I can take a 3 out of the top. That'll be 3 times x minus 2. I'll take a 2 out of the bottom. Looks like that'll be 2 times x minus 2. My x minus 2's can cancel, and I'll be left with 3/2. Now we have to do a little bit more factoring. First thing I want to do is factor the top. And when I factor the top, let's see, I think this is going to be 2 and 3. This will be x and x. I'm going to be factoring this into x plus 2 times x plus 3. Be factoring the bottom, x and x. Ooh, this one, let's see, I think it's going to be 2 and 6. X plus 2, x plus 6. And I can cancel these x plus 2's. And I'll be left with x plus 3 over x plus 6. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. Now that you've tried it on your own, let's do it together. So this negative 2 is going to be negative 2 and 1. This will be x and x. And I'll get x minus 2 times x plus 1. On the bottom here, I'm going to factor this guy. Notice remember I have positives on the outside and a negative b term here in the middle, which means these ones on the outside have to both be negative. So that'll be x minus 2, x minus 1. And I can cancel this x minus 2's, and I'll be left with x plus 1 over x minus 1. Okay, here's another one for you to try. Okay, let's take a look at it. So this will be x and x. This one will be, let's see. Let's have negative 5 and positive 2. I think that'll work. Yeah, that'll work nicely. X minus 5, x plus 2. Then here on the bottom, I'll have x and x, and I'll have 2 and negative 1. X plus 2, x minus 1. Looks like my x plus 2's can cancel, and I'll be left with x minus 5 over x minus 1. Okay, one last one for you to try, and then we're going to look at a fun case. Okay, this one looks daunting here on the top, but it's not anything too bad. Let's see if I can factor by grouping. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to factor by grouping on the top. I'm going to bring it over here, and let's factor by grouping. So p to the third minus 2p plus 2 minus 2p squared plus 2p minus 4. I'm going to take a p out of the ones on the left, and I'll be left with p squared. Well, I guess I could take a p squared out. I'll be left with p minus 2. Here on the ones on the right, I'm going to take out a 2, and I'll be left with p minus 2. And then remember, we can do the ones we have together, p minus 2, times our leftovers, p squared plus 2. Okay, that's how we factored the top. You may want to go back and check out factoring by grouping in the last chapter, chapter 7. I think that's near the end. I think it's like 7.4. You can check out my video on that if this doesn't look familiar. Then, let's look at the bottom. So that'll be p and p. This 10 is going to be negative 2 and negative 5. So p minus 2, p minus 5. I can cancel this p minus 2, and I'll be left with p squared plus 2 over p minus 5. That'll be my answer. Now we get into the fun one. Okay, so these are some of my favorite ones because you have to look at them a little bit differently. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at this bottom, and I'm going to say, wait a minute, that doesn't look familiar to me. I don't usually write my variables last, so I'm going to rewrite it as negative x plus 8. Once I do that, I notice, hey, these guys on the top and the bottom are kind of like opposites of each other. So I'm going to factor a negative 1 out of the bottom. Once I do that, that'll become a positive x minus 8. And on the top, I'm going to write parentheses around the x minus 8 just to emphasize. And I can cancel these out. That's why this one's my favorite, and I'll be left with negative 1. Oh, how fun. So go ahead and take a look at this last one. Now that you've done that, let's take a look at it together. So this one's just like the last one. I'm going to factor out a negative 1 from the bottom, and I'll get y minus 2, which is what I have on the top. So the y's minus 2's will cancel, and I'll be left with negative 1. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.